Oh Mandy, you came and you saved our football club. And now you're gone. Yes, that's right. Excuse my really bad singing into a beer bottle, Newcastle fans.
Come on, move your body.
It's officially been announced that Amanda Staveley and her fine husband Mehrdad Ghodoussi are out. And on this video we're going to talk about why maybe there's been an overreaction from a lot of fans, where maybe a bit of trust is needed, how planned this really was, and any concerns that I maybe have about these two people leaving our football club in what has been a massive shake-up and a pretty crazy couple of weeks before the transfer window has even properly got going. It's coming up on this video, Newcastle fans, so if you're curious, and I feel like you are, make sure you stick around. Welcome back to Black White Banter, you lovely jubbly Newcastle fans. I haven't done one of these videos in my house for a while. I'm not a big fan of it. Let me know in the comments. I'm preferring to head over to the stadium and get some lovely backdrops when I do videos. I've tried to come away a little bit from sitting in my house, but it's absolutely peeing down, as is British summers. So here I am, sipping a couple of beers, recording this video. And I couldn't avoid not talking about Amanda Staveley and Mehrdad Ghodoussi leaving our football club. There's got to be some sad music to put on there. There you go. And the reason I'm adding some sad music to this little part is because I am genuinely really sad, as I think any Newcastle fan should be, to hear that these are leaving our club. Before we get into the nitty-gritty of what this maybe means for the future, let's just go on record and say, and I mean this as heartfelt as possible, that there are many people where the word, you know, like people that get put into Newcastle's history maybe a bit too loosely. Let's not ever forget that Amanda Staveley did not once give up on trying to get the takeover pushed through, because she saw something in Newcastle and in our fan base on that day that she came and watched the Liverpool match, and she never gave up. She came back again and again, and eventually she got PIF on board. And here we are 2 years later, having been on some of the most wild adventures to cup finals, Champions League nights, and none of that, and what our future holds in mind, can I just say, with exciting transfer windows, hopes of returning to Europe now that we don't have injury concerns going into a new season, and just generally enjoying my football club again and singing the Bladen Races as I walk out of the house on a Saturday afternoon again. None of that would have been possible without Amanda Staveley, and that's why there's a lot of sadness that's come from all of the masses of Newcastle fans with the news that she's leaving our football club. I will always be grateful to her and Mehrdad. They believed in this club, they believed the wrong person was owning it, and they got him out, and that will still always be one of the greatest days, celebrating Mr. Mike Cashley leaving Newcastle United. So whatever they get up to in future, I'll buy them a pint if I see them, despite the fact they could probably buy the bar that I'd be drinking in with the money they have. And I think they'll always have a free night out in Newcastle, whether it be in Cosy Joe's in the big market or whether it be poshing it in the picture and the piano on the quayside. Thank you so much. That's just what I wanted to say, and they're not even going to watch this video. Black and White Banter's not quite big enough to be in front of the eyes of Amanda Staveley. But let's get into the serious business. Why did this come about? Well, look, I just want to say from my side, there is no indication at all that this was always part of the plan for Amanda Staveley and her husband to leave after less than 3 years after the takeover. And it is, you know, it's getting into October before we hit the 3-year mark. I don't think that was part of the plan. We only have to go back to 2 or 3 weeks ago on Amanda Staveley's Instagram, where she shared a little message saying that she couldn't wait for the season to start. Mehrdad buying the new Adidas top, and yes, you can argue, would he have bought the Newcastle top and bragged about it anyway because he's now pretty much an adopted Geordie? Yes, you could argue that, but something seems a little bit off with the timing of this change in the backroom team. Now, why do I think that is? Well, what needs to be said, despite what's coming from some quarters, and I am going to say that the unrest on social media, like anything that happens in the Newcastle United community, is a bit frustrating from my side. And there's even been content creators going out of their way to make videos that don't really have any evidence, but there's almost a little bit of scaremongering in there. Theories on why Amanda's left, what this means. Is it related to PSR because we sold a couple of players? Does she think that something's not quite right and she's jumped? absolute load of tosh, in my opinion. And the reason that I say that, which is going to be my main point to kick this section of the video off, is that if we cannot have some faith in how this football club is being ran, after all of the shite that we have had as ownership in our lifetime, these new owners come in and PIF Group, and we have had, as I mentioned at the start, Champions League, FA Cup finals. We are never going to trust an ownership model. Like, yes, this seems sooner than expected, but let's not forget, Newcastle fans, we now have Darren Eales, incredibly experienced man who built Atlanta from the ground up in America, comes in with fantastic pedigree. Peter Silverstone, who has recently built up Arsenal in the background on that side. We've added Paul Mitchell as a sporting director recently. I've just done a video about him if you want to check that out. How delighted I am, because I think he's a fantastic coup for Newcastle United. And just recently we've added Mr. Bunce, who I don't know as much about, but again, that one's come in the last 2 or 3 days. He's joined our club. It's okay for Newcastle United to sit round the table in the boardroom and actually take a look and go, do you know what? There's a few too many cooks in this kitchen, and Amanda Staveley's just in the background asking whether anyone needs anything chopping, or is she just getting in the way? That is okay, because Amanda Staveley was instrumental in securing this takeover, but Amanda Staveley does not come from a background of running football clubs. Does Darren Eales? Yes. Does Peter Silverstone on the financial side? Yes. Does Paul Mitchell on the team, on the transfer, on the scouting side? Yes. Does Mr. Bunce? Yes. The answer is yes to all of these people, and the only knows when they all sit round the table making decisions on a day-to-day basis is Amanda Staveley and Mehrdad Ghodoussi, and that is okay. Amanda Staveley, in my opinion, was never going to be around long term. It's just sooner than any of us expected. But if there has been a conversation in the last 2 or 3 weeks where something has changed, that's okay. That is totally fine, because maybe Newcastle were not expecting to get Paul Mitchell as soon as they have. Maybe Newcastle were not expecting to get Mr. Bunce as soon as they have. Maybe Newcastle were not expecting to get PSR wrapped up as quickly as they have by selling 2 players for 65 million. And that's suddenly freed up a fantastic little transfer budget where Amanda can actually wave off our backroom team, the boardroom, and go, this is going to be a good summer. I'm going to leave on this high.
It's done.
Why does it have to be associated that Amanda is leaving on a negative? There is nothing, and I mean nothing, no media, nothing to suggest, apart from the fact that maybe a month ago she was talking about the future and all the things she was excited for. There's nothing to suggest otherwise. There really isn't. And let's just loop back to some financial trouble that Amanda Staveley might be in. And I'm not talking, Newcastle fans, about any old financial trouble. I'm not talking about Amanda Staveley having a couple of Klarna payments that she's backlogged and a bit of a credit card that she's stuck an Ibiza trip on. I'm talking about an ongoing court case where a bankruptcy claim has been put against her name, where she could potentially owe £3 to £4 million. I'm not going to bore you with the details of that. She's already recently lost a court case against Mike Ashley where she had to pay out. Amanda Staveley in a couple of months' time could be looking at some pretty bad financial times. And if a bankruptcy claim is put against her name, you cannot work in a football club with that title, unfortunately. I think this could be a possibility of sitting down as a group of bodies and being, do you know what? Our work here is done. That's my best Amanda Staveley impression. I should have put a wig on. Our work here is done. That's fine. She came in with a view of building this football club into something special, into giving the fans what they want. Look at what she's done for Newcastle United women. They now have a foundation to keep growing. They have content creators who are now putting them in the spotlight more. They are climbing the league. They are signing players. It's all over my Twitter feed, and I don't follow women's football. Job done from Amanda. And yes, would she have liked to see that project out? Maybe so. Newcastle United have gone from relegation fodder to a cup final and a Champions League campaign that saw us go toe-to-toe with PSG and AC Milan. We've got Bruno, Isak, Botman, Anthony Gordon, exciting footballers, and Eddie Howe, who is doing his utmost to get that trophy in the cabinet. To in essence, what Amanda Staveley wanted to achieve with this club is done, and PIF are the majority stakeholders. They aren't selling up. That's when the serious panic from Newcastle fans should come in. serious panic. But in my opinion, it is totally fine for there to be too many cooks in the kitchen. Amanda Staveley's got her own stuff going on in her own life, so it was a perfect opportunity for her to sell her shares to the Reuben brothers and exit on a high. And she'll be a Newcastle fan forever, and she'll probably be in St James's Park on the regular. Now, yes, I'm calling for calm, and yes, I'm calling for maybe a more rational approach to why this decision has been made. But do I have concerns about these two people leaving the football club? Yes. So what are they, you might be asking? If I was to ask anyone, even a neutral, especially Newcastle fans, about what they think makes our club so unique, you would probably say the fact it's a one-club city, the fan base, the passion, the noise, the fact that when Newcastle play on a Saturday, if we do not win, that will carry into the following Saturday in mood, in energy, in just the feeling when you're in a bar, a shop, everything. It's what is absolute heartbeat. And Amanda Staveley had a very deep connection from football club to fans. And when Mike Ashley was in charge of our club, those awful days, the one thing we never had was any level of communication, any level of feeling like we were part of what was going on at the club. And Amanda Staveley has made it her mission to get in touch, to be in the stands for every single woman's game, to post little things here and there on her Instagram. Mehrdad the same on Twitter. Less said about his comments on the atmosphere after the Chelsea win back in November, the better. That one never sat that well with me. But what I'm concerned about is I look at who our team is now, and they're all fantastic people, which, as I've talked about on most of this video, I've got full faith in. But who is now going to take over that mantle? Because if you strip that away, and with PIF running organisations how PIF like to run organisations, we don't want to become this corporate machine where the fans aren't as relevant in the conversation. We are just the numbers that are filling seats. And what I worry about is Darren Eales. He seems to have taken that mantle. And again, you could argue the fact that he was shaking every fan's hand who queued up to get the new Adidas shirt a while back now, that might suggest that Amanda and Mehrdad were always on the way out. Maybe it was because they had holidays or engagements elsewhere to be involved in. Who knows? But Darren Eales seems like the natural fit where Newcastle might put him as the face of things. He travelled over to America last summer when I was there. I think he went on the Premier League Fan Fest, I believe, in just more recently over in the States for the weekend that they do every year. So he is involving himself with fans, maybe a little bit more on the international level. He's the natural fit, because let's face it, Paul Mitchell has got a hell of a lot to do with the transfer market, and he's player-based, he's scouting-based, he's academy-based. He's not going to be voicing and sticking his face out left, right and centre. Peter Silverstone is the numbers man as far as I understand it. And Mr Bunce, who I do keep referring to as Mr Bunce because I can't remember his first name as I've started recording this video. I don't believe he's going to be the face neither. It looks like Darren Eales, but when you take more and more people out of this club that were in it from the start of the takeover, that's where my concern builds. And I'm looking at the surveys on hospitality that came out last year. That concerned me. I'm looking at where this football club wants to go. Australia, there was announcements before the match even started about international memberships. All of these things are needed to grow the club, but the fans' voice and the unity that keeps us as Newcastle United, and that identity is a word I'll always keep using. Amanda, losing her and Mehrdad, I feel like we're losing a little bit of that in this whole takeover process, this ride that we've been on. That's my biggest concern. Let me know your thoughts down below, Newcastle fans. If you're new around here, drop us a little like you do and whack that subscribe. And I'm just going to finish by sharing what Amanda Staveley said when she first took over this football club. Because in my opinion, a lot of these points have been mission accomplished, and she can leave with her head held very high. That club's in good hands. What a legend. So much done for us. But let's not panic, Newcastle fans. What a way for it to sign off. On to the new season we go. Hawaii, Eddie Howe's, Mandyless Mags.
We're going to invest not just in players, but in the club. We're going to build up the academy programme, and over time we want to see more local kids making it through to the first team to help the foundation expand that excellent work. We are committed to helping the women's teams develop and grow.